this is John Stanley for Retail Globe. I'm actually in San Francisco. We've been taking a journey up Route 1. That means we've passed some of the best retailers in America and some of the more boutique retailers. So what did we discover on the journey? Let's show you some of the ideas. Travel the world and ask people who are the best retailers in the experience economy, and Bass Pro Shops always come up as one of the top 5. Well, we're in California. Let's have a look around one of their stores. Let's look at the ideas that make them one of the best retailers in the world. Let's go and experience the Bass Pro retail experience. As soon as you get to the Bass Pro store, you're impressed with the entrance. The entrance tells you you're going to have an experience as soon as you walk in the store. So it creates that wow factor for you. You walk in the store and the first thing that comes to mind is how large the store is and the theatre that's displayed in the roof and the ceiling. So a lot of the theatre that Bass Pro is famous for is above the shop and take. There are 63 stores in 27 states plus Canada. So this is a large organisation really looking at entertainment and leisure retailing. Look at the detail that's when it comes to merchandising. I love the way this wheel has been put together and the way they've balanced the merchandising to really give the focus to the eye, to the product. And jeans, these are jeans, but look at the extent of the merchandising and the theatre that's been put above the product. So it's easy to shop, but at the same time you're seeing the theatre above the display. And even the changing rooms are part of the atmosphere that's been created inside the store. So when you look closer at the detail, you look at shirt racks and then you look at the theatre, you see the squirrel. Children are catered for with a children's theatre area and children's department. And I love the way they've used this old tyre to really sell shoes. I'm sure we could all get a prop like this and create some theatre in our own store from that point of view. Kids are also entertained outside, and you can go, if you like, fishing on the car parking lot to help spend a day there. There are displays, fish on top of displays. There are even mannequins fishing for real fish inside the store. When it comes to food retailing, look at the detail. Look at the way this display has been put together. So it's easy to shop from a consumer's point of view. So whether it's raccoons or whether it's just the way you create a display to make people go, wow, be prepared for a surprise when you get to a Bass Pro shop. There may be a bear hiding around the corner. One of the fastest areas of growth in retailing is the farmers market. In California there are 700 farmers markets. There are 140 farmers markets in the LA basin. Now markets are different around the world. What's interesting about the style of markets here is if for Pasadena market, we look at the way they're managed. First of all, they don't rent out the site. The income comes from the turnover. The market's actually run by the city council. 6% of the turnover goes to running the market. 30% goes back to the council, and the rest goes to the market manager to develop the market. So we have this different type of marketing style compared to many farmers markets. The other interesting thing is how do you get the balance right? And this market, there are 4 fruit and veg stallholders or farmers to every one added value producer, so they get the balance from that point of view. Research shows that the Saturday market is the busiest market, but then a night market between 4 and 7 o'clock is also a busy time as far as the markets are concerned. So we're going to take a walk around the market, look at some of the novel ideas. What I do enjoy at this market is the way the customer gets involved with the stallholder as far as the stall is concerned. Many markets you walk past the store. At Pasadena you go into the store and they have this U-shape arrangement where you can go and involved in the market. So we need to look at the layout and look at some of the merchandising ideas that are different. So welcome to Pasadena Farmers Market. One of the challenges in a farmer's market is to make sure you expose as much produce as possible to the consumer. Now, I love the idea at this market where the consumer is encouraged to go into the stalls. So at times they're exposed to the product all around them. This surely must increase sales per square metre. And of course, dogs can be an issue in a market. In California, you have to have a license for a dog, and if you've got a working dog, you've got a special license, and only working dogs are allowed to go into the market. Working dogs are those used by the less abled, as well as the blind, etc. It's about merchandising. Now, we expected to see in this time of year strawberries and corn, but it's lovely to see the unusual products. Sage that is cut fresh and then bundled into smudge sticks. Well, they can be used as inhalants. And I was also advised that if I got smelly shoes, that sage was a great shoe deodorant. Herbs, well, again, a product you'd see in plenty of markets, but look at this fruit. Isn't it great to see the way they're merchandising this fruit based on colour? Great type of merchandising system. You've got to have signs. And I love these avocado signs when they actually tell you how long it'll take to ripen. And of course, each variety ripens at a different time. And this is where the education comes in. This is where the trust and coming from the farmer is a valuable asset for you. Bread is also part of the market. And this guy's really flying the flag. So he's showing his patriotism, and it's an excellent skirt that really brings home that this is a local produce. Markets are about entertainment. They're also about having a chef. And at the Pasadena market, we've got the Chef of the Week with a special stand, and this is rotated often between restaurants. So there's lots of opportunities to develop the farmers market. If you'd like to learn more about the Pasadena farmers market, well, do check in our members site and the blog, which will give you a lot more information on the tips we learned when walking around Pasadena farmers market. Hi there, we're in Southern California at present, looking at how the retailer and the supplier can work together to provide a better package for the consumer. I'm in Monrovia Nurseries, who's one of the growers of plant material for the American market. They work very closely with retailers to develop packages to help the consumer by giving ideas. So although this is the maker of product, they're looking at the total journey of the consumer and looking at the end user and helping the retailer put packages together. They will help build these packages in store. I think you're going to see a lot more of retailers and suppliers working in a partnership to put the packages together. This may mean that the supplier is using material that is a bit different to what they normally make. So they're looking at other suppliers that can help put the package together to give a complete picture. So let's have a look around and see how we can help retailers by putting these packages together. So what we've got here is the wholesaler providing a complete idea for the retailer. Now, although this guy specialises in plant material, Monrovia Nurseries are providing ideas on containers, cushions, furniture, everything to create a lifestyle statement for the consumer. They're then offering the retailer this package. So what you've got is solutions being provided. Now clearly, if you're going into partnerships, the retailer and the wholesaler need to work in a partnership. So this means that the supplier is going to want their brand to be in front of the consumer as well as the retailer's brand. So the supplier here has created their own display. And yes, their name is up, but it's part of the message. It's part of saying trust two partners in the journey, the retailer and the supplier as partners. And of course, if you're working with a supplier, it's an opportunity for innovation to come out. So this is an example of a living wall, something that could be used in any retail situation. But here is the supplier who is experimenting with new ideas. So if you're going to work with a supplier, work with one who's prepared to experiment, to try new ideas, to look at things that aren't the norm, that's thinking outside of the box. streets in the world. One of mine is State Street in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is about an hour's drive north of Los Angeles. And why do I like this town? It's their main street creates an experience. They've looked at the horticulture, they've looked at the entertainment, and they've looked at the retailing, and they've put this together in a unique way. So this is something that is very unique to this part of the world. So let's take a walk down State Street, Santa Barbara, and look at some of the developments and ideas. A walk down State Street and the side streets is fascinating to see how they've built the theatre together. The first thing that I notice is the way they use plants. It's like walking through a botanical garden down a main street. The streetscape and the width of the paths really allows people to linger longer and to browse shop down the street. There are pedestrian alleyways that really create this Spanish feel. So you've got the architecture and the landscape and the features all coming in to make one strong message for the consumer. And of course also there are the shops, the theatre being brought together by the shops. There are a lot of independent stores in this part of the street. So you get the Indian theme, you get the displays that are well promoted, and you get this triangular constructed power display that works superbly. And the mannequins are a bit more unusual as well. Now when it comes to signage, look at the Borders bookshop. Not only are they selling bargain books, but these are last chance books. They've created urgency. And I love the way they put the stand on wheels, and they've put tables and chairs out in the public area on the main street where people can take books and read them on the sidewalk. Directional signs are also interesting. And how about this one? Keep on the grass. I love this type of humour put into some type of signage, and I'm sure we could do that in our own businesses. Another thing that's been brought into the image is the traditional shop signs, and as you walk down the street the more traditional signs become very much obvious. And there's the street art. They brought in artists to create these elements that create a bit of humour as you walk down the road. This guy is a statue clearing the window. He's creating part of the experience. So a walk around Santa Barbara brings out a number of elements. It shows how important plants can be for the whole shopping experience, how street art can bring a theatre to the whole entrepreneurial enterprise, and it forces the retailers to do something different. As I mentioned, this is one of my favourite streets. So if you give a chance, go to Santa Barbara, take a walk down State Street, but don't forget to take the camera. Monterey Fisherman's Wharf. This is one of the best fisherman's wharves I know in the country. It's got a great atmosphere. I love the way some of the retailers are quite proud and promoting how they are the best at what they do. And this is a guy that's actually shown that there are fishermen involved. So you've got a picture of the guys fishing, then you've got the product. So the fisherman has become the hero. And some of those signs are very much the nostalgia part of the market. Just up the road from there is Casterville, one of the great growing areas of America. Pizzini Farms is the artichoke capital of the USA. This is where most artichokes come from. I love the way they've created the theatre on the wall. And I think murals are a great way of getting the story across from that point of view. So we've got this real theatre coming across. And of course farmers markets are very much part of the scene. So in San Luis Obispo what they've done is created these flags promoting the world famous farmers markets. And look at these strawberries. The main thing I liked about this strawberry grower is he took a straightforward container and again created the theatre. So we can take very cheap and effective buildings and make them really look attractive. While I've been travelling, I've been looking at the newspapers and seeing what's relevant to us as retailers. First one is USA Today. On Thursday, July the 8th, it announced that one of the big things in companies like Home Depot, Cold Stone Creamery, Taco Bell is weddings. They're now organising weddings in stores. and Home Depot are using the garden department and using the products in the garden department to create an area where people can get married from that point of view. So you can now get married in Home Depot. Interesting developments at JCPenney, American Eagle and Forever 21. They're using haulers as a marketing opportunity. Now you may be asking, what is a hauler? A hauler is somebody that goes on YouTube and promotes products from stores. 159,000 haulers last month alone. So what are JCPenney doing? They're giving some of these haulers $250 to $1,000 gift tokens as long as they promote JCPenney products on their YouTube station. Now part of this is they should disclose the fact that these gift tokens are being gifted in. But according to JCPenney, one of the big movements in retailing is using haulers to promote your business. And that could apply to any retail business from that point of view. Who are the top 10 retailers in America? Well, in today, on 19th of July, they looked at the top 10 retailers as far as sales was concerned. Now we all know Walmart would be number 1. Number 2 was Kroger. Number 3, Target. Number 4, Walgreens. Number 5, Home Depot. Number 6, Costco. Number 7, CVS, the pharmacy store. Number 8, Lowe's. 9 was Sears. And 10 was Best Buy. And finally, something from The Age, the Australian newspaper. QV codes are something I'm talking about in various industries. This is where you have a QV code on a product, you take your mobile phone, you click a picture and the web page comes up for that particular product, etc. So you've got this video on the product that's being promoted. Well, what's happening at The Age is they put these codes into the newspaper. So you can now take your phone, take a picture of the newspaper on the code, and the newspaper is downloaded onto your phone. Some interesting developments looking at the newspapers over the last month. Al's Garden Centre is located in the Portland area and they have a number of stores around the outer circle of the city. Al was originally a fruit and veg grower, but it was his son that came into the garden centre market. And I'm impressed the way these guys put their displays together. They're really effective in building stories for the consumer. So let's take a walk around Al's and see what they're up to. Celebrate Summer. What a great promotional campaign that was throughout their garden centres. I love the fact that they brand their pots. About 60 to 70% of their product is homegrown. So they're actually branding it on the container. When it comes to displays, they take the brand colour and they bring it into their displays to remind the consumer of where they are. And if a product has been promoting on TV, they actually celebrate that fact in the garden centre. So they bring in the garden centre and the TV together in promoting products. They do some crazy stuff that really works on their displays. But one of the interesting things is they're into pop-up retailing. So this spring they opened a store just for 2 to 3 months selling colour, and I'm told it worked exceptionally well. They know how to use props, they know how to build displays to really make the consumer get involved with the products, and I love the way they put their perennial displays together. The way they use just simple props, paint them in the store colour, and off you go. They're very keen on using Facebook. Are you a fan? Follow us on Facebook for specials, plant advice and more. So they're really into this, getting the consumer interested outside the store as well as inside the store. Ask us about our deliveries. Simple but effective. Al's Garden Centre, interesting company in the Portland region. Just outside Portland is Hogan and Sanderson's Sisters Design Nursery. It's a very small boutique nursery, and I love the dare to be different. When you get to the car park, you know you're in for something different as soon as you park the vehicle, purely by the theatre they brought into the place. They've taken a very simple structure, a polyethylene tunnel, and created some theatre in there, so it really becomes this theatrical plant experience. They display their products based on regions. So you go to the Mediterranean region, you go to a region, it tells you the main benefits of the plants in that region, so you go by design from that point of view. And why not put a chandelier in the middle of the polythene tunnel? It made me take notice. And in fact, they've done some unusual pieces of sculpture in the garden from that point of view. So Hogan and Sanderson's Sisters Design Nursery, it's a plantsman's nursery, but it's got a point of difference. Located in Corvallis in Oregon is the first alternative natural foods cooperative. This is part of the National Cooperative Grocers Association, and it's a movement that's quite strong in America at present. Walk around their store and you see the natural products, the organic products put together very effectively. I love the way they've used the mural on top of their fruit and veg displays, and their signage really gets the benefits across to the consumer. Heirloom tomatoes, and they explain the fact that what makes an heirloom tomato from that point of view. Some very effective signage. And how about these mangoes? Mangoes are ready to eat, and they give you the reasons when you go into the store. Plus there's people like Jules Organic Ice Cream from Eugene in Oregon who are encouraged to promote the fact they're local, and their local promotion is very strong in the business. And there's Amber's favourites. Ask for a sample. I love the ask for a sample from that point of view. Bring light onto the land. Here is Spring Hill Farm, a tomato grower, really promoting the fact that they're a local farmer, promoting local products in the store. And how about peanut butter? How do you make your peanut butter? Well, you've got a peanut butter making machine. The peanuts are put in the top, you crank it up and you make the butter yourself. So you've got all these little equipment and toys you can use in the store, which really gets this natural feel across to the consumer. So if you're ever in this part of the world, do have a look at one of these natural food cooperatives. I think we're going to see a lot more of them in the future. Kruger's Farm, again in the Portland region, and I love in America the way these farmers markets bring in the nostalgia through their signage. I think this is something many other parts of the world could learn from. Farm to plate dinners, so they're creating these $50 dinners under the oak tree. So we're seeing this farm to plate concept coming through the whole organisation. And the fact they use postcards. Kruger's brought the farm to St John's. When they go to a farm stall in a town, they do these postcards to promote Kruger's. Some interesting concepts at Kruger's Farmers Markets in Portland. The Pumpkin Patch Market. Pumpkin Patch Market is again in the Portland region and one of the major farmers markets for the consumers in the town. You walk into their farmers market, there's a very strong welcome with a lot of theatre into the welcome. The use of straw bales and the use of local furniture really makes a difference. I like the way they put their displays together above the site and take position, just using boxes and pictures and a bit of artwork put together very effectively. And how about this? This is a farm, so they put some theatre into the barn. So what we've got is the animals looking out from the barn. And then the children on a weekend can go on a ride on a cow. So a tractor pulls these little cows around the farm to give the whole experience. But the one thing that really took my eye was the animal facts. These were boards put around the farm that really got the involvement of the children and their parents on the animal facts. So you could find out about sheep, or chickens, or rabbits, or cows. So there's some interesting factors in getting the figures across and getting the children involved in the farm. Pumpkin Patch do a great job in family entertainment. A visit to look at the retailing in Portland would not be complete unless one went to the City of Books. I'm talking about Powell's Bookshops, the largest independent bookshop in the whole of the USA. It takes up a whole city block. They sell new and used books. To look at it from a purely retail perspective, it may be a bit disappointing because some of the principles of merchandising aren't really there. But if you want to look at the width and the depth and the way they put in their signage and the way they put the categories together, the things to be learned. I love the thing that they do, the purple room, the red room. Each room is coloured to give this historical or theatrical feeling to the place. They get customers to recommend books, and you can put notes on shelf talkers to highlight specific books. So I think there is a lot to learn from them. I love the idea outside of the bookshop where the cycle rack, each cycle rack zone is named after a specific book on bikes. And you can see the way they're taking this theme all the way through the organisation. So Pal's Bookshops can provide ideas for retailers. It may be not the best retail designed store, but there's depth there. And as a friend of mine said, I spent 4 hours there on a recent visit. Well worth the time to look at. We started this edition of the Retail Report in Southern California, amongst the palm trees. We've finished it in Northern Oregon, amongst the fruit trees. We've looked at farmers markets, garden centres, general retailers, a whole style of retailing. Hope you've enjoyed this edition. Next month we're off to South Africa and into Europe, as well as into Chicago. So I hope we can show you some more ideas that are going to stimulate you to make changes in your business in next month's edition. Hope you've enjoyed this month. Look forward to seeing you next month. Bye for now.